Welcome to Group 23's presentation on leadership. Before we begin, Hopper from Pixar's A Bug's Life once said, "The first rule of leadership, everything is your fault." On this note, our presentation will consist of the following: a short definition of leadership, the 4 leadership theories with a focus on contingency theory, empirical evidence for contingency theory, a case study examining contingency theory in practice, and concluding with what we think the best theory for leadership is, so everything may not always be your fault if you become a leader. Leadership is crucial to organizations, as it is the ability to guide others without force into a focused direction. It provides vision and motivations to a team so they can work together to accomplish the goal. Knowing this brief definition, we will now explore leadership traits. The demand for an efficient and successful leader is derived from the necessity of a task succeeding. Consequently, there are many theories that attempt to describe which type of leader delivers the most success. We will be exploring 4 of these theories: trait, behavior, contingency, and transformational. Trait theory describes a successful leader as someone who was and always will be a great leader due to certain personal traits. Trait theory fell into general disfavor when Stoddard published and reviewed 128 studies on leadership traits, concluding that the characteristics of a successful leader depended on the situation. Behavioral theory describes a successful leader as someone that is molded rather than born. Grave argues that the behavioral theory model has no theoretical or logical justification. Contingency theory describes a successful leader as someone who adapts situational variables to better suit their own style. Fred Fiedler's contingency model assumes that each leader has a preferred style and suggests that adaptations to situational elements will achieve greater outcomes. Transformational theory describes leaders who go beyond the management of employees and aim to transform societies, nations, and cultures. Supporters of this theory criticize the contingency theory as research only views leaders who look only at the outcome. Nevertheless, each theory has its own viability within different circumstances evidenced by criticism and lack of evidence supporting each theory. These theories have similarities and differences, including all theories identifying that circumstances influence the type of leader that is required, and emphasize that the leader must be capable of adaptation. Although none of the theories has concrete evidence supporting them, they have different levels of support. The main theory that will be explored in this presentation is the Fiedler model under the contingency approach to leadership. The Fiedler model was based on the premise that a certain leadership style would be most effective in different situations. The keys were 1. To define those leadership styles and the situation, and then 2. To identify the appropriate combinations of style and situation. Fiedler proposed that a key factor in leadership success was an individual's basic leadership style, task-oriented or relationship-oriented. We should note that Fiedler believed that a person's leadership style is fixed. His research uncovered 3 contingency dimensions that define key situational factors for determining leader effectiveness. Leader-member relations, the degree of confidence, trust, and respect for the leader, rated as either good or poor. Task structure, the degree to which job assignments were formalized and procedurized, rated as either high or low. And finally, position power, the degree of influence a leader had over power-based activities such as hiring, firing, discipline, promotions, and salary increases, rated as either strong or weak. From data generated by 1,200 groups, he concluded that task-oriented leaders perform better in very favorable situations and in unfavorable situations. On the other hand, relationship-oriented leaders perform better in moderately favorable situations. Since Fiedler treated an individual's leadership style as fixed, there were only 2 ways to improve leader effectiveness: bring in a new leader that fits better, or change the situation to fit the leader. This could be done by restructuring tasks, increasing or decreasing the power that the leader had over factors such as salary increases, promotions, and disciplinary actions, or by improving the leader-member relations. Research carried out to the overall validity of the Fiedler model has shown considerable evidence to support the model, presented in numerous documents. According to Amen et al., using the model's existing research, the leader can then anticipate his or her effectiveness, both at a personal and dyadic level, i.e., experience stress or subordinate satisfaction, and at a group level, i.e., performance, subordinate satisfaction, and morale. With this knowledge, the leader can conduct job engineering, i.e., modifying the three dimensions affecting team dynamics and altering group function. Strube and Garcia applied meta-analytic techniques to test the validity of Fiedler's contingency model of leadership effectiveness. This approach was used to examine 145 hypotheses validating Fiedler's model, as well as the 33 results on which the model is based. The model was extremely robust in predicting group performance, and through the use of meta-analytic techniques, it was found that the inclusion of studies not directly examined in early reviews served to increase the model's predictive power. Peters et al. Also found that much of the empirical findings provide support for Fiedler's theory, albeit revealing some criticisms. In general, it would appear that much of the empirical support for this theory is based on lab findings. The results from the field studies fall short of providing full support for the contingency theory. Because the theory ultimately must be useful within field settings, it is crucial that supportive findings emerge in such settings. Although it has its fair share of criticism, its basic premise, the interaction of person and situation in the study of leadership effectiveness, provides a flexibility that allows the model to grow and develop. An example being the ability of the contingency model to incorporate the effects of cultural differences and diversity. Diverse group affiliations between leader and followers can be addressed in terms of effects on the situational control constructs. For example, groups marked by diversity might affect the leader's power and authority or task structure, as cultural differences in customs and norms affect expectations about the acceptable forms of leadership influence. This flexibility makes it relevant and useful in today's increasingly globalized workforce. In 1979, Fiedler and Maher applied LeaderMatch, a training program based on the contingency model to 46 Reserve Officers Training Corps program. The LeaderMatch program teaches individuals to identify their leadership style, to diagnose their leadership situation, and to modify situational factors as necessary to improve performance. Analysis of commissioned and non-commissioned officer evaluations of performance, as well as peer ratings, showed that the cadets with LeaderMatch training performed better than those without. Our team member, Terry, recalls the effectiveness of leaders during his military service in the Singapore Armed Forces utilizing Fiedler's model. Within his unit, there was always a leader. However, some had no official power, yet some did in rank. For example, within his unit, there are people who are unofficially in charge, but lack a capacity to punish. These leaders are relationship-oriented. Their task structure is very high because they have simpler tasks to lead on, but as a result of their rank, they have little position power. However, they do possess high LMR because of same ranking and due to the time each unit spends with each other. In favorable situations, Terry told us that it was hard for them to lead because they had no authority, and we didn't have complex tasks. But when task structure was low and the situation was less favorable, they performed better because we had to pull through together to accomplish more complex tasks. Terry noted that because they were relationship-oriented, it was difficult for the leader to be authoritative in very unfavorable situations. Also, Terry had provided that whilst the leadership styles of officers who had formal power differed, their position power was the same. With no prior relationship with their followers, most officers adopted a task-oriented style. Within dire situations, such as being cornered in mock army exercises, Terry experienced that his unit was more responsive to task-oriented officers and did not question authority and decision-making. However, within a neutral, quote, day-to-day setting, Terry thought task-oriented officers were less effective than relationship-oriented officers. From Fiedler's experiment and the case study, we can conclude that there is evidence supporting Fiedler's contingency model of leadership. However, the model still receives criticism due to the fact that it assumes an individual's leadership style is fixed. Thus, we conclude that all theories are imperfect. They have criticism and lack favorable evidence. However, contingency theory and Fiedler's contingency model have gone through in-depth testing, such as Fiedler's experiment and the case study, leading us to believe that it is the most accurate theory in terms of successful leadership despite criticisms.